We know the mass media does not like us to question the foundations of the sexual revolution and the various ideologies out there that support that revolution. But interestingly enough, just recently, Saturday Night Live had the gumption to question the absurdity of same-sex parents in a skit. Let's take a look.
Wow, this is really nice.
Yeah, do you hear that? Quiet.
Oh my God. Is it bad to say that I'm kind of happy that the school sent the kids on a camping trip this week?
I know. I mean, I love them, but I can't remember the last time we saw friends 2 days in a row. Are Randy and Trevor still coming? They said they went out last night.
Hi,
Oh
sorry,
my God,
sorry,
we're here, and we're late, and I'm so sorry we made it.
Hey guys.
Hi, sorry.
I'm sorry, we're on her schedule.
Oh my gosh. Whose baby is that?
Excuse me? It's ours.
Wait, but how?
Okay, I'm sorry, but gay.
Okay, this is a good question, right? We should, in the normal course of events, when two men have a baby and claim to be the parents of this baby, it is normal, according to the very order of the way the world works and where babies come from, very normal to say, how? But again, the surprise here is that SNL has written this skit, and they're actually willing to ask this question because the cultural elites who hold the keys to what they want everybody in the world to think, generally speaking, they don't want us to ask these questions. Because if we start asking these questions, then eventually the whole ideology that says this is just normal and fine and there's no problem will crumble. So this is what makes this so fascinating, that SNL is asking these questions. How? Very good question. Let's see where it goes.
What we're asking is, how did this happen?
I think we're just wondering who the mother is.
Hey, well, between the two of us, I'm more emotional, and I like shopping, so me, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, I have long hair, and he is an alcoholic, so I guess it's like two moms, I guess? Yeah.
Okay, let's say something here. So this is a very important question. Who is the mother of this child? Right? There are tragic situations in life where one is deprived of a mother that we make the best out of, right? The death of a mother, for example. However, to set up a scenario in which in advance we willfully deprive a child of his or her mother, or conversely, willfully deprive that child of his or her father, as the case may be, we are doing a terrible injustice to the child. And the child's rights end up being sacrificed for my whim, rather than my sacrificing my life for the good and rights of the child. Put it this way. We live in a mentality, we live with a mentality, we live in a culture that has come to see a child no longer as a gift from God, but as a right that we demand. And when we fail to see that a child is a gift from God, we can go down two horrible paths. One, the gift is granted and we kill it because it interferes with my sexual agenda. Or I demand the child as a right because of my alternative sexual agenda. And when we say alternative sexual agenda, what do we mean? We're saying I have chosen something other than the order and nature of things. What we have forgotten in the modern world is that sex and babies go together, right? This is a tragically forgotten reality. We obviously will consent to that in some abstract biological way, but we don't let it interfere with our own lives. We end up trying to change the natural order of things to fit our sexual agenda rather than releasing our own sexual agenda to conform to the reality of things. When we try to shift and shape reality to meet our own whims and desires, we inevitably cause harm to others. And the first one who gets harmed is the child. We know in our bones that two men cannot be the parents of the same child. We know in our bones that two women cannot be the parents of the same child. And so, again, it's remarkable that SNL is being willing to say what's going on here. Let's see where it goes from here.
Guys, how did you get this baby?
Yeah, because it wasn't planned. Sometimes it's an accident.
How does a gay couple have a baby by accident?
Hey, what do you want us to say, that we stole her?
Did you?
Well, we like to think of it as she stole us.
Okay, let's see if we can enter into this. Again, I'm really kind of shocked that SNL is willing to go here. That whole, what are you trying to say, that we stole her? And then the person goes, did you? I think that is speaking into this deep uneasiness that if we're reckoning with reality, we're like, where are the real parents of this child? And there's some arrangement that has been made behind the scenes that has done an injustice to at least one of the parents of this child. And I think we could extend that and say to both parents, because there's an injustice being done when I am choosing to have a baby outside of the confines of what that child deserves. And what that child deserves is to be brought into the world through an act of love of a mother and a father who are committed to each other and committed to embracing and raising and sacrificing their lives for the fruit of their union. It is obvious that in this scenario, this child has been wrenched from that reality. And so it rightly raises these questions. Are you saying we stole this child? Did you? Well, in a sense, yes, it's been taken out of the environment, stolen, wrenched from the environment that is best for the child. And we should raise questions. What is at stake here is not the rights of people to have whatever kind of sexual pleasure they so desire. What is at stake here is the rights of every child to be raised by a loving mother and a loving father who are committed to each other and who have brought that child into the world. Obviously, there are many scenarios in which children come into the world not through a mother and a father who love each other and are committed to each other. And we need to make best that we can with these circumstances. But the best that we can is to find another mother and father to recreate as best as we can a scenario in which that child can look up and see male, female is how life comes into the world, and it's the proper structure of the family. I don't think I've heard a more succinct description of what's going on in the culture right now, case in point, this video, than was put by Edward Fesser, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, in an article called The Politics of Chastity. It was in Nova et Vetera, volume 19, number 4. This is what he says. As habituated and rationalized sexual vice becomes widespread, it inevitably takes a toll on the stability of the family. As individuals no longer see the family as the end for which sexual desire exists. How did that begin to happen? As soon as we inserted contraception into the equation and willfully separated sex and babies, the trajectory of sex is now leaned towards whatever's left, which is pleasure. When the goal is pleasure and it's no longer raising a family, then I will shift what I consider the family to be in order to meet the demands of the preference I have for sexual pleasure, rather than shifting my demand for sexual pleasure according to the order and structure of the family. This is what he's basically saying. He goes on and says it more eloquently. Instead of seeking to restrain and reform disordered sexual desire in a way that will be conducive to strengthening the institution of the family, Such a culture seeks to alter the institution of the family in a way that will be conducive to indulging whatever disordered sexual desires people happen to have. So succinct, so clear. The tail, he says, comes to wag the dog. Blinded by lust, blinded by libido, and considering my form of sexual pleasure a right, the natural order of things becomes harder to see, and people become less willing to see it. And I'll say it again, this is what strikes me about this skit from SNL. You would not expect them to be questioning the status quo, and yet they do. Let's see where it goes from here.
Where is your baby from?
Us!
But how did you get it?
It? You mean she, they, until he tells us otherwise.
What on earth are you talking about?
God, the way people talk to gay people is crazy.
Okay, so I want to say something about that last line. The way people talk to gay people, meaning challenging them about where their baby comes from, is crazy. No, it's not crazy to ask where does that baby come from when there's not a mother and a father who brought it into the world. We know where babies come from. We know they don't come from two men. The craziness is not to pose the question, where does that baby come from? The craziness is to impose on the world the idea that it's normal and even natural and totally acceptable for two men to pose as the parents of a child. It's crazy making to embrace such a crazy idea. I don't know who the writers of the skit were, but they're asking very legitimate questions. And I got to hand it for once to SNL in having the courage to question the status quo. We live in confusing times, and we have to have compassion on everyone who's struggling to make sense in this confusing world out of the question, what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? What is the family? What is marriage? How do we live this out? These are questions we all must grapple with. And the Theology of the Body Institute exists to help you grapple with these questions in a compassionate, merciful, redemptive, compelling way. And if you would like to take the next step in a journey of discovering this compassionate, compelling, redemptive way to face these questions and find answers, I invite you to text the letters TOB for Theology of the Body to this number, and we'll have it in the description below, but I'll read it to you now. 404-647-7682. Thanks to the generosity of our patrons, we are able to send you, at no charge, a brand new video series that we have recently filmed. It's currently being edited, but you'll be the first one to be notified when it is available. Text that number, you'll be in our system, and we will send you this new video series at no charge as soon as it is available.